next panel session, which is the cost versus the benefit, the true price of sustainability. This is coming to you with Al Bayada, and I want to introduce you to our panelists. We have Rizk Marouche, Regional Head of Supply Chain and Procurement at Tim Hortons, Mohammed Fathi, Procurement and Supply Chain Manager, Mina Caribou Coffee UAE. We also have Christophe Nkiri, Product Development and Sustainability Manager at Al Bayada International. And your moderator for this panel will be Nadia Shah, owner and CEO of Drip Burgers. Please welcome our wonderful panelists to the stage. Let's give them a nice warm welcome.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Nadia Shah from Drip Burgers, and today we're going to explore how sustainability intersects with costs, the benefits, and the compromises or complex choices that our industry has to make. So today we have Christophe and Mohammed Fathi and Rizk. Sorry, just before we start, I'd like to make an intention. So the intention for today is to pass on as much insight and knowledge into sustainable practices and how far we can take it in our industry, and to hopefully incite and inspire as many people here today after listening into how they can take action, because this is something that is more about care if we really want to make a difference in our workplace. So I'll introduce the panelists. So Christophe from Al Bayada International, he balances customer demands with planet-friendly practices. Mohammed Fathi from Caribou Coffee, he's always on the lookout for the perfect zero-cost carbon-neutral supplier. And Rizk Marouche from Tim Hortons, whose job is to make sustainability work seamlessly across all of their branch locations. So let's just start with a personal question, and if you can all answer, how do you incorporate sustainability or those practices into your personal life outside of the workplace, and how important is it to you?
Yeah, thank you, Nadia, and good afternoon, everyone. So that's a really good question that I think we should all be pondering on a bit. Me personally, myself, I've always been interested in new product developments, new innovations, always forward thinking, and with my background of engineering, it's always been like that. I always like the forward thinkingness of it. And once I joined this company, there's been a lot of push through for sustainability from the top down, and that really rubs off on someone. So once you start doing your own research, I mean, obviously I'm in the sector, so it's a bit easier for me, but once I started seeing the research, seeing the stuff that my company does, seeing the stuff that a lot of other customers and suppliers do, you start realizing that there is, you can do small incremental changes to your daily life that can make you work more sustainably. So for example, to give you one example here, at home, I used to just keep buying water bottles. It's a very cliche example, but I then quickly switched to I just put a purifier for the tap water. And instantly, one, it became healthier because you can measure the contamination. You can tell that it's healthier than what's written on the bottle. And two, you're just reusing a glass bottle or cup or whatever it is. So once I started doing that, you actually realize I've been consuming maybe 1-2 bottles per day. Count that over a year, that's 1,000 bottles around, maybe 3 bottles a day per year per person. If everyone does that, that adds up a lot. That's per 100 people, 100,000 bottles. So anyway, that's just one example.
Absolutely agree. And
so from my side, first of all, thank you for the question. Sustainability on a personal level become more and more a practice that you do every day, because the ecosystem around you start changing and evolving toward this direction. Starting from the simplest example of, let's say, the plastic bags that you use to carry your supermarket things with. Now you carry your own recycled bag that you take it with you, you fill it, and you bring it back home. So you reuse it one more time, and second and third and fourth time. Moving, for example, to some of the plates, cups that you use at home. If you have any gathering, any event, for example, it's more appropriate, more fancy, more better looking to get some recycled, nice plates and cutleries. So you use them rather than the plastic old white ones that you used to have them at home. So indirectly, those things start being part of your day-to-day life. Either you want it or not, but because of this topic being driven around you from every single angle you can think of, from the government, from the company, from the lifestyle. Either I was telling Nadia about an example when we're going for a staycation within the UAE. We wanted to pick a hotel, so we saw this Earth Hotel in Abu Dhabi, and we saw that it's a fully sustainable hotel. So we wanted to discover what does that looks like. So we booked and we went there, and honestly, you enjoy the experience, not just because you feel everything is clean around you, everything is sustainable. You see the letter for the wooden that the door are made of, to the cup on the table itself, to the bed sheets, to everything. So this gives you kind of comfort because you feel that everything around you is good, is well presented environmentally. So that self-satisfaction become more and more conscious that you look for in your day-to-day, and sustainability is one of serving that purpose to you to ensure you achieve this goal. So this is my view on that.
Thank you, Nadia, for the introduction. I feel that we are responsible for...
Just a little closer.
Okay. We are responsible because we are knowledgeable more than the regular people in other jobs. So it is our responsibility to educate people and to encourage the practices of sustainability. Simple things you are doing in your personal life, like segregating waste, reducing plastics, using sustainable material, buying from the companies that promoting sustainability. All this make difference.
So would you, how important would you say the education around sustainability is in your life? And where did you get that education for sustainable practices? Was it something given to you or from your workplace?
From my workplace, and I'm trying to passing to friends, family, colleagues. Mm-hmm. So to become a culture.
Okay. What would you say the knowledge is in this industry or even in the UAE surrounding sustainability? Would you imagine that there's quite a lot of people have a high level of education around sustainability, or what would you rate it from 1 to 10?
It is still in the let's say initial phases. People are looking into sustainability. Sustainability, it's not only material, it's the ESG concept.
What is ESG?
Environmental sustainable governance, and companies now is more into taking this ESG approach. In Caribou, as an example, it's one of our priorities from the brand and from the top management. We have a committee, is headed by our CEO. So it's not only the material, not only the actions that affects the material and the usage of the product. It is a culture in the company. So
in your company, it's a culture, but what would you say in the UAE? Are a lot of your customers well educated in what sustainable practices are and what the benefits are? What would you rate it as a 1 to 10?
The new generation is now more into sustainability. They really understand it. We are trying to educate the customer by conveying the message of how did we save as an example, in the water, in the power, in the packaging, and what is the impact on that. As a government, I believe with all the initiatives that all the markets are doing, Qatar, Saudi, UAE, it's growing, and I believe it's in 5 years' time it will be a mandatory to everyone.
Absolutely. And what would you say? Where did you gain this personal? Is it a personal thing, or was it something given to you by your company? The care for sustainability on the environment.
Well, it is. I would say it's a mix of both. Today, if we look at the country we live in, part of the vision of the country was to support sustainability, and that pushed a lot of companies to start admitting this as part of their own vision as well. So starting with my company, the vision was updated to adopt sustainability as a practice, and it was aligned between the top management that this is the way forward. On a personal level, definitely, because you live in this society, you hear a lot about it. So you start getting the courage to go and discover what does it mean, how to practice it, what benefit it will come back to the community with. So on the educational level, I would say that we're still lacking kind of spreading this information from the top to the bottom. Yes, governments, management, top management admitted this and the vision, but still the message should go all the way down to the entry-level employees, the staff, the operators. Everyone should be conscious and aware of what is first sustainability and how do we engage to practice better sustainability. It's not only to have it part of your vision. That doesn't serve the entire purpose. Yes, as a company level, you are on the right direction, but the execution is what makes this vision really effective. So more education should come down the line with more training, more materials, more practices, as much as we were discussing and saying that we do customer service training, upselling training, building the right SOP training, for example. We should do training of sustainable practices on monthly basis for all level of employees if we want to make sure that this vision is going to the right direction. Not just by saying it, but by practicing it.
Absolutely. I come from a European country. I was raised there, so knowledge of recycling and how to really take care of plastic bags. We were being charged since I was a teenager for plastic bags. Is something only very new to this country. So you can understand that leadership is extremely important. We're talking about on a national level, and we're also talking about within our companies. So I agree with the point you're saying about the training for our employees. So how would you say in your company this has been inspired to you, Chris, from within Al Bayader? How do you guys see from the leadership, how is it inspired through you guys to actually make a change and implement those changes within your workplace?
Yeah, so as you both said, obviously it's very important to have this type of interaction with all your employees, from the top management down to the floor. And we've been in the UAE since 1991. We've seen the UAE grow since 1991. Now it's been 33 years after. You can kind of see the sustainability initiatives that the UAE has put upon. And obviously, we, as a company, we are born in the UAE. We want the UAE to move forward better and better.
Is it your company? Who is the decision maker? Why is it so important in Al Bayader to implement these strategies? Is it the CEO? Is it the owner? Or where does it come from?
So it comes straight down from the CEO level, down to my manager, down to me giving it to all the on-the-floor employees, to the customers. There's a background of sustainability within the entire top management.
Why would you say he cares about that? Like, where is that passion coming from? Like, is it something that just picked up on, or is it from your opinion?
Well, I mean, I'm sure he would answer in a great way, but in my opinion and what I've seen, it would be two things. The first one would be how we want to push the UAE forward, and he also sees himself as part of the culture here in the UAE and wants to see better advancements in sustainability. And two, the more of the Syrian background mindset of loving nature, loving the outdoors. Things like a great example of the cost thing would be, he took the initiative to build a botanical garden in our factory.
Wow.
This is something that doesn't add any benefit to our customers, doesn't give us profit, it doesn't do anything like that. But it just shows the commitment to sustainability. There's no cost and then get the benefit back. That's just a cost, but the benefit is, pleasing sustainability, Mother Nature, offsetting CO2 emissions is purely just a sustainability measure there.
And so after taking decisions like that in the company from the top down, how did you see the benefits of those decisions throughout your company? Or was there anywhere where you had to compromise the cost over the value?
So look, sustainability is not easy to implement in a company. But it makes it easier when there's a lot of people that are pushing for it. For us, I came into this company in 2020. As I said, I was very intrigued with forward thinking engineering, things like that. And through the company culture that I've experienced, there's been a lot of sustainability ingrained mindset for myself. So once that's there, I'm able to push those thoughts into our products, which, from 2020 up until now, I think we've released over 7 new ranges that are all sustainable, all researched, backed by proper scientific sources. We don't obviously want to greenwash, which has been a big problem in this economy and in the GCC as well. So that's something we pride ourselves on. And me and the team's background being an engineering analytical background is very important to make sure that every single product has certifications. Every single product does not bear any ramifications towards the environment. And of course, talking about cost, there's always things that we do to try to alleviate the cost from our customers. So sometimes, like with the recycled plastic, for example, sometimes we take a hit on our margins to keep the price similar to what plastic is. That way, the customer doesn't bear much of the responsibility. Our customers does not, but we do, because we believe this is the right way forward. This is not a play. Obviously, it's a play and marketing and all that is involved, but we care to what it's going to bring, and we know that this is the right future that should bring the UAE forward.
So I would say it's a common myth that sustainability or implementing these practices is quite expensive for your company. I think, Mohammed, you have some great examples for us for how you've implemented sustainability and actually managed to reduce the cost of your packaging, for example.
It's a very interesting story that we, as a company, we had a commitment to have a sustainable packaging. So we started to work on this project in August 2022, and by using techniques in supply chain like changing the delivery point and the receiving point of the item, selecting the right partner, Al Bader have decided to invest with us in reducing the cost by eliminating some factors like the PFC certificate value. They bear the cost of the rPET, and in exchange we invested in the plant-based straws. So actually, overall, we had reduced the packaging by 10% across the company.
Wow, that's an amazing reduction rather than what you'd expect as an increase.
Because previously we was receiving in each store, imagine 73 stores receiving on a daily basis different products, so the cost of logistics was high. And on the other hand, also by this practice, we reduced the carbon footprint for the entire, so it was, I believe it was a very amazing journey that we and Al Bader have. It was almost 1 year, because I remember we received our first order on 5th of December 2023. This was a milestone for me personally and the company. So we are almost now 1 year.
That's an amazing milestone and a huge achievement to reduce the cost. So how important was the contribution of, or the collective effort of the supplier in this achievement?
Look, I will tell you honestly, I don't believe that companies should work with suppliers. We should build a partnership relation with our suppliers. If you are treating a supplier-customer relationship, it will always fail. So we build a partnership with Al Bader. They showed the interest to support us being one of the leaders in the market, to be the first coffee chain that have all the sustainable in all aspects. So they showed this interest and they invested with us. So in terms of, from our side, we also paid or invested in increasing the cost of some items to have this, at the end, this concluded.
Amazing. And so, it's a common kind of thinking that the customer or somewhere the cost has to be bared for the implementation of sustainable practices. So what are your feelings towards that? And is there a lot of like pushback either from customer or from top down about how you, explain the additional cost if there is an additional cost, and how has that played out in your execution of sustainability?
Okay, from, from my point of view, today sustainability is classified under a luxury practice that you will do. But in reality, this is not. It's not like if you want to move to sustainability, you will pay more money. In some cases, it could be true. In some cases, it's not. It all depends, as my colleague have said, and I echo him, that the relation with your vendor is the crucial part of moving toward this project. So today, similar case to Caribou, we at Tim Hortons went through the same journey. We got approached by Al Bayader to start changing our packaging offering to more sustainable. And since the direction was already part of the strategy and the vision of the company, so it had received good acceptance from the top management. When it comes to cost, there are a lot of ways to bear this cost. First of all, you're enhancing the positioning of your brand in the market, in the product offering for your consumers. So this has to do with more into marketing and positioning of the brand. At the same time, you're opening a lot of opportunities for your marketing team to add value to their campaign by promoting sustainability within their practices. And the third, if you go with sustainability from end-to-end, a cycle approach, you will see that at certain stage when you recycle the material, segregate them, someone come and collect them back, and then he reuse them. So there will be a good financial benefit, if not saving. I would say at least you par with your previous plastic offering to your consumer. On another note as well, the consumer behavior is changing in the markets all across the region, and people are more conscious about their health, their contribution to the environment, to the society, the community. So believe it or not, a lot of people, a lot of our customers, they look at the cup and they ensure that this is recycled cup, sustainable friendly, environmental friendly. So this become a good practice for them. And if you move toward this direction, the extra footfall that you might get because of this shift might cover any extra cost if it exists at a certain end. Because look at the effect, it will be a very, very small number, even a single digit increase on your costing, but overall contribution will be more valuable to the brand itself. So you have to know how to measure it, you have to know how to position it, and based on that, the financial effect won't be a severe decision that you need to take. It will be just, I would say, kind of adjustment to the margins in a way or another. And well, for us as a coffee shops, packaging is a good product, take a good percentage of our product mix. But still, the effect, if it's minimal, you won't feel it on overall, because you might cover it from the marketing, as I said, and you might cover it from the extra footfall that you might expect when people know that you're serving the purpose of sustainability in your stores.
Okay.
And by the way, as an example, now most of the activities are moved to Expo Center, which is now you cannot
Take part.
take part of it unless you are sustainable. So it's actually opened a new sales channel and add more value to your sales and revenue. So it's not only cost.
So essentially, it's really, really important for the enforcement actually to happen for these things to take place. So, okay, within your workplace, do your employees have the choice on taking part in some of these things? How difficult is it for you to make sure that a lot of the practices that you're implementing are actually carried out on ground? We have a changing workforce. People are in and out of this country all the time. There's some information that you learn and you train them with, and then tomorrow they're out the door, and then you kind of have to redo the process. Like, how difficult is that, and how are you guys implementing that on ground?
Look, actually, it is part of our introduction training. So 1.5 years ago, our training manager have incorporated this into our training program. So it's part of our education to new employees. So it is not a choice for an employee to participate or not. It's a culture, as I said before. And we are onboarding the low levels or the levels, the entry levels in the ESG committee. So we have 2 or 3 members we are meeting every quarter. So we have 2 members or 3 members randomly who are chosen to be participating in this ESG committee.
Great. So it's a much shorter session than I anticipated to get through a good bit of it. But now we're going to go through some questions and answers. If anybody has any questions for the panelists, we'll open up the floor.
Does anyone have any questions? Pop your hand up and I'll come over to you. Everyone's quiet today.
If you had any advice to give any of the attendees here on how to motivate or encourage or impart care and consideration into their office, and what advice would you give them as a place of where to start and how to encourage that within their workplace?
I will repeat a point that I have mentioned previously. Education is key here for the sustainability to carry forward and to grow within your organization. It's not sufficient to just say that we are sustainable or environmental friendly company. You should spread the knowledge from the top to the bottom. And the only good thing that you should do is to include that in your training manuals and your weekly, monthly, quarterly trainings, refreshers that you do for your staff. You should always keep 1 or 2 slides highlighting the importance of sustainability, highlighting the benefits the environment and the community will take from the good sustainable practices that you will do as an employee. Only at that time you will start see a benefit from shifting all your direction from plastics to environmental friendly products and changing the practice to more sustainable practices. So in a nutshell, it's not sufficient for the CEO and the leadership team to believe that sustainability is a goal or is a vision. It's very crucial and essential for them to make sure every single employee, back of the house, front of the house, knows about sustainability, because in a way or in another, he's a contributor to that.
How about when there's pushback from management and the management is not in support? How do you justify the extra costs or the even additional cost of training or time investment into changing the sustainability practices?
We need also to understand the difference between price and cost. So on a price level, yes, you might find most of the sustainable products are higher in price, but as a cost, maybe it's not. So there is a cost that incorporate a lot of things like shipping, like logistics, like brand image, as my colleague said. So as a culture in the company, we need to differentiate between price and cost. Most of the people are under the impression as a price, it is higher, but we need to quantify. Yes, it might be higher in price, but how much I'm consuming per year? Maybe I will make an impact in the environment with a very marginal additional cost.
I would add something here. I don't think there are many management team that will push back sustainability. It's a very wrong direction if they ever think of that. And none of the companies we know or we work with, they have such a direction. It's a global initiative and activity that everyone should be part of it. So no one will choose to be working against the flow. So in a way or another,
not necessarily working against the flow, but it's like, let's say for a small company, right? It's the additional cost. Some people are just looking at it from the point of view of a business. But when they're looking at it from the point of view of a business, even though there are all of these like enforced practices, there's still a reluctancy to spend that extra money and invest. So how do you really convince someone when it comes from purely, like it can be from management, investors, the whole way across the board? How do you convince and how do you reflect that in saying, well, actually, this is what you will benefit from if you implement these practices?
We're going back to the same point. This is knowledge. It's about knowledge. So if he's aware of what is the practice, is not only to buy a sustainable packaging. There are a lot of other practices, from the waste management to the localization to a lot of other things that he can work on to reduce the footprint of across his practices. So it's the knowledge, it's the know-how, it's the understanding of the different aspects of sustainability, and to see where he can start from. We're not saying do a full transformation tomorrow. Take the initiative to start at the first step, and so on and so forth, until you grow to become a fully sustainable. It's not gonna happen overnight, but at least accept the fact, understand what is it, and see how you can apply it from your perspective. It's not necessarily what works for Muhammad will work for me. So it depends on your situation, how you can be part of this program to benefit from.
Okay. Thank you so much.
And Nadia, just before we run out of time, there's two things I would say for businesses that are just starting. One is be your own worst critic. So always make sure that what you're getting is actually truly sustainable. Do not just take we keep saying we're a sustainable company. Every other person will say that they're such a sustainable company. So you need to make your own research as well. Make sure that what you're buying is actually sustainable. And the other thing where you need to be your worst critic is just don't sacrifice the functionality of any product that you're buying for sustainability. You know, do not make something worse just for the sake of being more sustainable, because in the end of the day, the consumer comes first, and if the consumer is buying or eating out of something that they're not enjoying, they're not going to buy it, even if it's sustainable. Absolutely. So it needs to stay sustainable and stay functional for all customers.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So I think as we wrap up, what we've concluded is that your own education is really, really important, and for you to influence or anyone around you to make that change is to educate yourself first, and that's the starting point. And then there are a lot of trade-offs that we do have to make within our companies. However, I think and believe that the value that sustainability is bringing is far outweighs the initial, maybe short-term cost of what you're going to see. And then it's working together as a family to actually achieve all of our goals, because it's teamwork, just the same way suppliers and restaurants all have to work together. Also, so does the government, and so does every single participant. So all the small little efforts that you make truly do matter, including the water bottles and the water filters that you put in your own home. And maybe even if today, if we had a little bit more, less plastic and more glass, that would help as well. So thank you very much for everyone that took part. Some really great insights there. And thank you everyone for joining us.